Good afternoon, Speed Gaming 4 specifically. Welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer tournament race. My name is Tracy M. With me today is T-Root. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Tracy, and I am just looking forward to a fun match. And like we were talking a few minutes ago behind the scenes, I don't care if this is linear, if this is crazy. I just want to see some fun racing.
Yeah, always like to see a good close race. Hopefully we get that from these runners. This is the round of 32. This is a game 1, so it's just going to be the normal 7-7 open defeat Ganon. So nothing funny yet. Asazas beat Zyrak 2-1 in the first round, and SaltyPhry beat JTB 2-0 in the first round.
I've watched a lot of races from both of these runners. Asa, I watched a bunch of their races back in the 2018 tournaments, and they really came a long way. And SaltyPhry was a big name, back when Randomizer was really picking up, and just in the weeklies and also this early tournaments. So really high skill levels here on both sides.
Yeah, as Asa, the number 9 seed, SaltyPhry, the number 41 seed, but don't let those seeds fool you. They both got through. They both won their first round. So once you get to this point, you're going to be pretty good no matter what.
I think it was, I'd have to go back and check, but I think it was an Asa seed where I watched where he was able to hover and the other opponent was not, and he ended up being like a hook shot required only for Agatu seed. It was just amazing.
All right, we already had Divergence. SaltyPhry starting in Link's house getting some arrows. Asa starting in the Sanctuary. It looked like I didn't quite see what he got. And we have a 5-6 crystal at Hera, a regular crystal at Eastern, and a red pendant over at Desert. Shout outs to Asa for leaving that map on long enough so I actually catch all of that.
Yeah, that's a lot of respect for the trackers who can update those trackers with the 1-second map checks.
Okay, piece of heart in Sanctuary. Thanks, Link Force.
It's nice to get some bomb drops off of the crowd there. Those 6 bombs is going to make everything pretty much easy for Asa from this point on.
Yep, and Link Force doing our tracking today. Shoutouts to our trackers doing the hard work behind the scenes.
Yeah, love the trackers that keep us honest, because I cannot keep track of everything myself.
Okay, our first look into the Lost Woods. And 300 rupees our first item. This early in the game, you're going to pick that up. That gets you largely a large portion of the way to Zora money. Also makes buying bombs and paying the bottle vendor very easy in Kakariko. Also nice early container heart. Okay, let's get our first look at the town.
So blindside here, quite a few items, and of course we did pick up that extra bombs from the crabs, so we're good to go.
Piece of heart, more bombs. Full heart container. More bombs. Well, we won't have to worry about bombs.
Can't have too many bombs this early in the game. You got no other weapon. I mean, we could be doing mini Moldorm Cave with just bombs. They really make a difference. And oh wow, big payday from the bottle vendor there. Nice 200 rupee profit.
Okay. Oh, SaltyPhry has no bombs. That's why he's doing those checks first.
It's a little unfortunate. Gonna have to go buy some bombs for 50 rupees, but they do have plenty of rupees. And even after buying some bombs, they'll be pretty quickly back up to the resort level,
Yeah.
so no
And
big
then
deal.
he's gonna get a whole bunch of bombs that in those chests and realize he doesn't. Oh, a moon pearl early.
Yeah, you see this a lot. Runners will come into Blind's Hut or the Well without bombs, and they'll gamble, and there being bombs here. And at this particular seed, we had 6 bombs in Blind's Hut. If they didn't have the bombs, there'd be no bombs. That's the way
Oh,
it
of
always
course.
works.
Yeah, 100 rupees to get 300 back is nice. But not a whole lot in the way of progression so far, just that moon pearl. And our only real weapon besides the bombs is that blue cane. So
Yeah, that could help a little bit. I mean, finding the moon pearl early isn't a huge advantage because you're gonna need it for all of your Dark World access,
yep.
so it's not really blocked that often. I really would like a sword at this time, or just, I mean, actually, I think a sword would probably be the nicest find.
A sword or a hammer. Just
Hammer
50
would be
rupees
great.
in their library, not going to come back for that. We are going to check the race game ahead of time. And, oh, no, you're not saving and quitting out of that one.
Yeah, gonna go back for that.
This is actually the precise time where you might blind check that one, just because you've gotten so little. There almost had to be something there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It'll be interesting to see if SaltyPhry just gambles and does the blind check for it. But yeah, it's absolutely a required item and a very important weapon. We can get through escape a lot easier now, and just all these other locations. We needed something, and that does tempered sword damage, so it's a good pickup. Salty did not do those checks.
Oh, that is. Hopefully, he comes back for that. But it might be a while. But of course, since the hammer may be his logical Dark World access, with one of the gloves, he probably gets funneled back there at some point.
Yeah, it is an interesting route. I have seen a few runners opt not to check the library and race game. I'm not really sure what the logic there is. Maybe not doing race game. Sorry, not doing a library until they have boots potentially. It's not super common, but in this particular seed, it could hurt SaltyPhry.
Yeah, one option is that you can actually mirror back from the dig game to get that item, but I don't think that's going to work out unless we find both glove upgrades before he's forced to go back there.
Yeah, and of course you would also need the mirror as well. I think your
Yep.
earlier point with just the versatility of the hammer as a weapon, that pays for itself in the time, if nothing else.
Okay, we're gonna see a mini Moldorm cave over here from SaltyPhry. Picks up the magic so he can use the cape a little better. I like that. Asa going into the escape early.
Mini Moldorm Cave, a location where the hammer would not have made it a lot much easier.
No, I mean you can use the
hitbox.
hammer. Oh, but the hitbox and the
Yeah.
hammer combined with the movement of the Moldorms just would make that awful.
And more bombs. And our first bottle of the game includes a free fairy.
Bombos medallion, which may or may not be needed.
So we'll be able to do the entire escape sequence. We might have to sequence break the dark rooms to get to the back, but not really a big deal. And like I said, this is just so easy to do with any weapon, except for the ice rod, really.
Okay, we're gonna see an ice rod cave check over on SaltyPhry's side. And just a piece of heart. With that moon pearl, looks like he's gonna go for a fake flipper with 500 rupees. already able to pay for Zora, this makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. This will let us check Hobo if we want to. Might be something that, given the fact that he skipped the library and race game, might also skip Hobo being kind of out of the way. But at a minimum, we'll get the 2 items from Waterfall Fairy. We could buy Zora, and then we can at least know what's on Zora's ledge, even if we don't have the ability to get it. So this is a pretty efficient sequence break.
Yeah, I like doing this when you have the Zora money. It's hard to just go to Zora for just that one item. But at least now you can at least check 2 items. You can check an item, get 2 others. If you know how to do splash deletion, you can even get the ledge item. Although I don't think we have the items for it right now.
I'm pretty sure we don't. But we didn't even see SaltyPhry check what the was on the floating island. So he's gonna have to figure out that later on. And I don't think either of us have that knowledge because I don't think Asa did it either.
Okay, just 20 rupees on the ledge, so we don't care about that.
So one thing to keep in mind is without the flippers or the mitts, Zora is a sequence break at this point.
It is.
Because you can get up here with just the mitts. Obviously, this is your vanilla flippers location after all.
So you better be able to get up here.
But 10 bombs, that's the 10 bomb weapon. I guess technically you call it that.
Yeah, the 10 bombs that are in the game, so that in standard mode you can have a bomb start.
The nice mini Moldarm cave on Ace's side. Despite having the hammer, the bombs are still a lot easier to kill those Moldarms.
Okay, Asa didn't seem to get much in the escape. That's where SaltyPhry is headed now. Not a whole, other than the eastern area, not a whole lot else. We have Agina, and that's about it, I believe.
Right. Without the flute or the gloves, we can't get up to Death Mountain at all. We have Sasharala and Eastern Palace we can dip into. So there's potentially 6 items, 5 to 6 items over there.
Yep. And perhaps SaltyPhry will decide to sequence break to the back of escape without the lamp.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable sequence break to make. Asa not doing any fake flippering, doing a save and quit directly out of there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the eastern area at this point. Oh, and we're also going to get the island check over here on Ace's side.
And that's a quake.
All right, that's good to know.
That's one of those we don't know yet.
So if Misery Mire or Turtle Rock is the Quake Medallion and a required crystal, then we are going to need the mirror in order to get to that location from the Dark World. So that's good to know.
Okay, let's see what we got back here. 100 rupees, 50 rupees, and a piece of heart.
I was really hoping for another rupee item.
Yeah, with the money closet.
money closet. Sasharala's the hoarder of knowledge and rupees.
Okay, we are going to see an Eastern check. That makes a lot of sense, given that at this point the only other place he has left that's in logic is Agina, and at least there's 2 or 3 items available here.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a crystal, so even if we get the items in the front, unless one of those is the bow, we're still going to have to come back here later, and this could potentially be a required double dip, depending on if there's progression, or just a waste of time if there's not. And Salty is going back to get that hammer.
Yeah, and he's still checking it ahead of time at this point with so few locations left. I gotta feel like we're gonna see a glove soon, though.
Well, this isn't actually that bad for Salty because we're going to be able to turn in our bottle while we're over here. So in hindsight, maybe it worked out a little
Maybe.
bit.
Yeah, I forgot about that sick kid that we had a bottle for it.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that goes into the thinking of Salty's route, but bottle turn in, flute activation, those are both things that you could have to backtrack for, which might make this a little bit more sense. As shovel as well, if you get the shovel and you want to do the digging spot on the way back. So it's not as inefficient as it seems at first glance.
Yeah, it worked out, and we kind of knew he'd get funneled over here eventually. Interesting that he checked it before going over to the eastern area, but good he did, since it did turn out to be a hammer.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
there's
see
no
who
such.
this kid. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say there's really no such thing as like a one-trip Kakariko seed.
No. Oh, and there's that glove. So SaltyPhry with
Excellent.
Dark World Axis.
Yeah, that definitely worked out well, this particular seed.
So far, I haven't seen a whole lot in Eastern.
Now, really, what we're looking for at this point, because we have the Dark World Axis now, we're not looking for lamp to do aga or swords or anything else. The bow would be the best thing to find just to let us complete Eastern without the double dip. But Salty really has the progression that we need.
Okay, I see a pendant turtle rock, and I missed. I missed where the other pendant in the other 5-6 was.
I saw green pendant swamp palace.
Oof. That's an interesting one.
And that's particularly interesting because we need flippers to get flippers and the mirror, both for swamp. Oh,
There's
one
that
of the
bow.
bows on that. I'm saying we need flippers in the mirror though for both swamp and for the quake medallion. So if neither of those are needed, we might be able to skip both the quake flippers and mirror.
So yeah, unless we see the other bow in this big chest, and we don't, we see a mushroom. Yeah, that was a. Unless that mushroom leads to something, that's a double dip.
That could be a delayed bow, but that would still be a
Yeah,
double
it
dip.
could be. I did not see where the big key was, so I'm actually not sure if those that mushroom was in logic or not. It probably was on that. Yeah, it had to have almost had to have been on that left side, just because typically if you have the big key when you get into that room the first time, you go ahead and open the chest right away. So
Yeah, I definitely think you're right on that. Asa down to basically just the Aegina's Cave check and the bottle turn in. As we don't know what Aegina has, but we'll be happy with that bottle turn in. Salty finds the other. Wow, the Titan's mitts on the pyramid.
ledge.
And
Wow.
this is great for Salty because we have we have that bow and we have the hammer, so we can just go do a full clear of Palace of Darkness if we want to.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's good news, bad news. He's got like a ton open to him, but the bad news is he's got a ton open to him, so he's got a lot of choices to make right now. And unfortunately, not having the mirror will not allow him to combo the Pod Eastern check together. But looks like he is going to head over to Pod. Since there's 5 items, he has the bow. No reason not to do this, and the bow often leads to progression. I would say more often leads to progression in Pod by a lot, because you have potentially all but one item bow locked, whereas Eastern you just have Armos Knights.
Yeah, I agree with that, and you're absolutely right that in a perfect world you would have the mirror and you'd be able to combo Sasharala and Eastern all together. But you're really only having to come back here one more time to get those remaining 6 items. It's not a bad deal at all. Asa though, I'm really wondering what Asa's doing. I guess he wants to do all the fake flippers.
Yeah, he's doing the fake flippers.
So this is interesting. All the fake flipper checks prior to turning that bottle in.
Yeah, I mean, there are more items this way, so I can see why he wants to go and do this rather than the one item he's going to get at the bottle vendor. But none of this, like you said earlier, is in logic until he gets that glove at the bottle vendor. So,
well, that's what makes that's a particularly interesting play because he's down to one item that has to be progression versus, a couple locations which are gambles.
Yep. And we are bow locked in pod, so that bow crucial.
It's a good thing that he made that trip to the Hype Cave to pick up the bow. It's a standard Dark World play, but some people could dive pod directly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could if you had a potion, potion glitch, or if you know how to do the mimic clip without the potion. So there's ways to sequence break this too. But it's just easier if you just have the bow.
I would love to find the second bow back here in pod, so then we know that the intended strat was to go to Hype Cave first.
Yeah, it's actually happened enough times where we've seen a bow locked behind the bow in pod that it is not definitely not out of the realm of possibility here.
So Asa is, we got the hobo check, we have the island knowledge, and this is going to complete the water checks for Asa because we're not coming back here to get that red rupee.
No.
And at this point, I have to think, unless he just forgot about the bottle has to be the next check. And SaltyPhry doing a nice routing in pod. You get all these keys up front, and when you can do the bow lock section, you can, as long as you can dodge those. I forget what those enemies are called, like the octopus things.
Little jellyfish. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a name for them. I gotta look it up. But,
yeah, it's not jellyfish.
but without the mirror, this is the best way to route pod. And there's our ether medallion, so we know all the medallion locations.
20 minutes in, we don't have all the medallions, but we know where they are, and still don't know whether that mirror is even going to be required.
So Misery Mire is a crystal, so we'll have to that could be Quake, which we should make it required, but we don't. But with Swamp House being the green pendant, it's still entirely possible that flippers are going to be logically required for Ice Palace, but they might not be required by the execution. You can rephrase what I just said, so please.
Well, let's just put it this way. Ideally, these runners will have a go mode of flippers, because then they'll just ignore the flippers.
Thank you. Much more concise than my ramble.
Yeah, you can't fake flipper swamp. Actually, to be more specific, you can fake flipper into swamp. You just can't get out of the first bit of water. So no one's figured out how to get out of that water, so fake flippering not going to work in swamp. But it's a green pendant, so the runners don't want to ever have to go there. So yeah, if you can get that flipper go mode, then that's ideal, because flipper go mode means you don't ever have to worry about going into pendant swamp, and that's a good feeling.
Oh, absolutely. This is
there is a pod item. Got a flute.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, flute. That's gonna give us a look at the mire area pretty quickly. So we'll have that answer about Quake at least. But what it's interesting is we actually get to see some nice divergence here. Asa going into the Village Outcasts area, so we get the 3 checks here. We get the potentially a full Thieves Town clear. There's no reason not to do that. That'll be the first crystal for Asa. But without the mitts that SaltyPhry picked up, it's going to be a little bit inconvenient to route some of these overworld checks in.
Of course, without the mirror as well, some of those, like the Smith's chain without mirror, with mitts without mirror, is kind of a pain. So easier maybe if he comes back afterwards, if the mirror is found somewhere.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but at least it's possible.
Yep.
I wouldn't be. I mean, it's not that big a deal though, because the only risk is orphaning a location in Cave 45, which we're not really going to see. Ace is probably going to clear Thieves Town because you have everything you can do to safely get all 4 items, and then just follow along the southern route, which will give Hype Cave which will probably lead to Pyramid and then Pod. So we'll see the same thing. And SaltyPhry taking that Death Warp there. No mirror, no choice.
Well, no mirror, bad choice of not death warping. I mean, you could, but it just takes forever. And with green mail, it doesn't take too long.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of health at this point. It's like they're not, in danger of dying, but I would expect a few more hearts at this point.
Yeah, the one bad thing about this early Thieves Town play from Asa is that he is going to have to do Hammer Blind, or perhaps he'll supplement the Cane.
Well, we could find a sword in this dungeon. We do have 4 items here, but Hammer Blind with the blue cane is actually I think it's a pretty easy fight. The hammer is not difficult for phase 1 and 2, and the cane, if you save it for phase 3,
Sure.
has plenty of magic. We found the lamp in Thieves Town, so that's one of our 4
Nice.
items.
Well, it'll save Asa a little bit of time when he gets over to the pod area. SaltyPhry going to do the Dark Turtle room with no fire rod or lamp, and that's one of the hardest dark rooms in the game.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as Asa picked up the lamp, because these terrapins, there's 6 terrapins in the second dark room. If you have the fire rod, it's no big deal to light the torches. But this is a tricky room, and we have the fighter sword now, but so that gives you the NMG pattern a little bit. It's still going to be tricky. Let's watch Salty, or let's not watch.
We can see the hammer do its thing.
Whoa! Oh, he used Ether. That was a great idea.
I believe. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. If you get them knocked over on their backs and then use Ether, that works.
We're gonna have to defer to chat, because I've never seen that particular strat. But all 6 of them did die at once. Oh, what a lucky find, because without that sword, we would not have been able to use the medallion at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, Asa's not going to have to deal with any of that. Having the lamp, it's going to be a straightforward terrapin room. I'd say Salty definitely lucked out there. Very clean Helmasaur fight. Hammer and arrow combination, because with fighter sword, you have to basically use hammer. The arrows there.
Yeah, but it's not bad to use a bow and arrow. But yeah, not having any better options there.
What would that be like 30 sword slashes?
I don't even want to count.
I don't even want to count them either. Yeah. So first crystal for SaltyPhry, and at this point, he's starting a sanctuary, so I guess he's gonna maybe head up to the mountain. But I was gonna say just clear Eastern while you're at it.
Well, without the mirror, that's not really.
I meant after the save and continue, like just
go back,
get that area, and get the whole area done. But yeah, not doing the mountain, because we really, without the hook shot or the mirror, we can't get that far.
Yeah, so I mean, there's 2 items you can get, 1 more you can check. It gives you the save quit spot, which is nice, but he's got the flute now, so he's gonna go ahead and activate that right away. Oh,
that makes sense. Oh,
he has a fairy. Okay.
And maybe hopefully he pulls out the can of Burna. Come on, let's see some Burna strats.
Oh, he only need 1 more shot.
That's kind of a waste of a fairy then.
I don't know if it really is that much of a waste. It's kind of nice to have that empty bottle if you want to fill it in with some regular goo somewhere down the line.
So I was thinking that maybe SaltyPhry would activate the flute and then head over and finish off the eastern area, but no, we're seeing the same Dark World play here.
We're going to be able to see more on SaltyPhry's side, because he does have mitts. We'll see if he does any of those checks in addition to the ones that we've already seen.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll be able to see hammer pegs, and we'll be able to take the smith with us, but we're going to have to still go back and save and quit in order to actually turn it in. There's really one more check. But hey, a mirror could be on the hammer pegs that could make everything easy.
Meanwhile, we get to see a nice dig game. And we get to see a whole lot of digs.
Oh, this is a lot of digs. I think that you kind of want mirror to be like flippers. You want that to. You really don't want it to show up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably rather see the mirror show up than the flippers, just because of that. Well, because of the quake, because of the use, like trying to route Ganon's tower without the mirror, for instance, is a pain. But yeah, I mean, if you never see the mirror and you never get sucked into Swamp Palace because of it, that's a good thing too.
Well, I guess it depends on the timing. I mean, they're early enough in the seed that they, Asa just walked past the first mirror location. So if the earlier you have it, you aren't really wasting any time. But you don't want to find it as like your second to last item, though.
Yeah, sure.
So Asa go in the hype cave here. So the second glove was on the pyramid, so he's gonna have to keep on trekking. But this was the bow. Remember, there was something valuable here.
Yeah, I suspect he'll follow that bow over to Pod at this point. And we'll see if he thinks to check the pyramid ledge on his way. He'll be very happy if he does.
Well, hopefully he does. I mean, he has one of the 5-6 crystals, and he might want to put off a pyramid check until after completing Tower of Hera to combo it with the pyramid fairy. That could be a dangerous play in this particular seed with the Titan's mitts being up there.
Looks like he's headed that way, so that's good. He'll get his mitts. So we're now at that point where everybody's doing what the other player did.
Yeah, I'm trying to think ahead a little bit about future routing options, but I think we probably have a good 10 minutes or so before we really see any divergences. Pod is the obvious play, and Asa might go back and clear Eastern. I think Salty will still do Eastern before anything else. It's a section where there's really nothing else to orphan, and you might as well just pick up the crystal and full clear.
Well, I'd actually really like to see one of them head over to Meyer with that flute, just to find out whether that quake is going to be required, if nothing else.
That would be great knowledge for us.
I think as a runner, I'd kind of want to know too. So just find out whether that quake is going to be required. So get an idea whether I'm going to eventually get a mirror. If that quake's required, we know we're going to run into mirror. If it's not, then whatever. No mirror, we'll survive without it.
So my thinking as a runner is, if you have crystal, like the reason why I think Eastern is a great play is if you have a crystal dungeon you can completely clear. It might have some progression item that will make feature routing easier, and there's nothing that they can risk by orphaning it.
Yeah, always going for those crystal dungeons is not a bad. I never fault runners for choosing to do crystal dungeons ahead of other checks. So.
What's interesting is that without the hookshot or the mirror, we have very limited Death Mountain access.
Yeah.
And there just really hasn't been a good reason to go up there. Nope. We're getting a lot done without the most item dense location of the game. We're actually still finding some decent progression.
Okay, SaltyPhry finishing up with blind. Gets his second crystal.
We didn't. Salty didn't turn in the mushroom, did he?
I don't believe so.
No, it was because he hasn't actually used the fluid for anything. He just
Nope.
activated it, and then went to the dark world again.
But yeah, to your point about the crystal dungeons, Eastern right now, being the okay, they could do ice, but it'd be out of logic because they don't have flippers. But Eastern, the only logically completable dungeon right now.
So, remind me, which one of them went to Eastern already? It was Asa. It was Asa, right? And
Yeah, I think that's right.
right, because Salty found the gloves
Right,
earlier,
yeah.
and then had a little bit more fishing. Yeah. So for Salty, my thinking is that you have the 3 items at
Yeah.
Sashirala and all 3 items in Eastern. So like that's a really nice location to go to. But for Asa though, it's really just one item left. So
Yeah.
a lot less appealing. So I get that. This is our first hammer pegs check. Asa didn't have the Titans mitts to get over here.
Oh,
Ooh,
baby.
baby.
We get to go fast.
Wow.
Now, boots probably not required this seed, but you're never going to turn them down, that's for sure. I say probably, but of course, could be something in Desert Palace, and of course the age-old torch in GT.
Yeah, and even without that, you still have the Bonk Rocks and the King's Tomb locations that are boots locked that could have progression. And even if there's no progression, it's just so much more fun to be able to have the boots.
They're just faster.
Exactly. Now, SaltyPhry, though, I don't think he ever checked the library. Doesn't know
because he got the hammer there at and then went over the sick kid at the race game.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I mean, got the hammer and then just walked past the library. Just didn't even want to. Didn't even care. I don't care what's there.
Looks like he's gonna at least pick up the smith. And the smith's gonna get a bit of a tour here.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of locations though. This tour is going to end at right here at Stumpy though, because there's nothing else for Salty to do.
Although I suppose he could do the mushroom turn-in first, once he saves and quits here.
Yeah, we have the Smith turn-in, and we have the maybe we'll see the library check now that we actually have boots. The overworld boots spots we can do, and we'll probably see a lumberjack cave check as well. We're gonna have to actually get rid of the smithy before we check that though.
₹20.
Chad says Salty doesn't have the mushroom. The mushroom was the last item in Eastern. So you're right. Salty doesn't have that.
Oh, that's a good point. It's Ace that has the mushroom.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder, chat. So nothing in King's Tomb. This is our Bonk Rocks check, the second of the 2 boots locked overworld locations. And more health.
More health, not a terrible thing, but not what we're looking for.
So I didn't think you could check the lumberjack with the blacksmith in tow, because it's a dual entrance location, isn't it?
Well, it is dual entrance. We're about to find out.
Ah!
Whoops.
All right, there we go.
As he pulls the tree in frustration.
That's my one vindication moment for the day. I get no others.
Oh, and that's a cane of Samaria. While it doesn't open up anything for us right now, it will allow us to finish Mire. Actually, depending on what the Mire, they can get to Mire right now. So depending on what that medallion is, you might be able to just full clear that.
And the 38-minute library check from SaltyPhry.
Well, he didn't forget. That's good.
I didn't forget. All right, so we're seeing the play that I've been wanting to see for like the last 20 minutes.
Gonna see Eastern.
And Asa finishing up Pod with what should be a pretty quick helm sword kill. So I think the Cane of Samari is always an interesting item when you have Turtle Rock Pendant, because it's potentially used only in one spot, that one block in Misery Mire.
Yep.
And that always drives me crazy, because like every other vanilla dungeon item has a little bit more utility than one spot, but not the Cane. It's unloved by Nintendo.
Yeah, it gets a lot of usage in Turtle Rock at least, but yeah. I remember getting to that dungeon the first time. You see this big question mark. I'm like, it's got to be the cane, right? Because
Yep.
what else am I gonna do there? Okay, let's see where Ace is going now.
You can just feel the frustration when you don't have boots and you're like walking out of the sanctuary. Oh, so we haven't seen Back of Escape. I forgot about this.
Oh
We
yeah.
also haven't seen Dark Cross either.
And unfortunately, finding the map means there is something in the Dark Cross area. It looks like he is going to check it.
So chat's having an interesting discussion about sword logic and where the swords can be. And the only requirements are, there's some requirements that, like bosses like Trinex, you need to have a certain level sword in order to complete. But for the most part, you need swords to activate medallions. You need Master Sword for tablets. You need a sword in this particular seed, to complete Skull Woods. But otherwise, yes, they could all be in Ganon's Tower. I mean, if Skull Woods was a pendant, you could potentially see 4 swords in Ganon's Tower.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We do have a pendant at Turtle Rock, so it might not. Hopefully, doesn't ever come into play. But that was an ice rod in the Dark Cross area.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, like everybody.
I know, right? It's like, okay.
More importantly, though, SaltyPhry now has the mushroom, though, so
now we can turn it in.
Yeah, now we can think about mushroom logic.
Well, and he's got the mushroom and the cane and no powder, so maybe he goes and does the fake powder first.
So Issa, I think, is going to go back to the Dark World over here. It's a long trek back, but we have to activate that flute, and then we'll probably, hopefully, see the hammer pegs, and maybe starting the purple chest, but most importantly, getting the boots out of off the hammer pegs.
So I'm sure Asa wants to go fast too.
Everybody wants to go fast. We got a little bit thrown off on that Armos fight. Might get to see the red Armos. Aww.
That was a nice recovery from that.
Yeah, we didn't even see phase 2.
Okay, we're gonna see that mushroom check right now.
And Salty, having completed Eastern, will get the rupees out of Sashirala's closet, and then we'll be done in this area altogether from both players.
Just 20 rupees on the mushroom. So really nothing in Eastern.
No, definitely not. And having already sequence broken the water areas, the only thing basically in that entire quadrant of the world that's left is catfish.
Yep. No one likes to go there. It's completely orphaned at this point.
But moment of truth, Misery Mire Medallion is Ether.
Ether. So we may not see a mirror today.
Oh, I would love to see a no mirror, no flipper seed.
We could have it.
God, wouldn't this be great if they could skip I mean, just sequence break Ice Palace and then just completely skip all the pendant dungeons, all 3 of them?
Well, I mean, without the mirror, you're not going into desert unless you find a book. And you're not going into swamp at all without a mirror. Like I said, oh, we're gonna get it. We get it. No, wait. Okay, he's gonna buy some bomb upgrade. Yep.
He's got the money.
Okay.
So, I mean, that might just be, hey, I'm here. Let me spend some money, or that might be,
I want extra bombs. Price.
Yeah, I want extra bombs for maybe bomb strats and Misery Mire. That's always a possibility.
Yeah, we don't have a hook shot right now, so there are going to be some bomb jumps that we're probably going to see to get to the right side. I'm guessing mainly because he bought those extra bombs. Depending on the key layout, we may still be able to get to that right side. I'm not going to try and fully explain Ice Palace key logic because I don't know all the ins and out, but the main thing is we don't want to see keys on the right side. If there are keys on the right side, then we are hookshot locked. In particular, if the big key's on the right side, we are hookshot locked, even though with bomb jumps we can avoid all that.
Yeah, we have 562 viewers on the stream. Trying to explain Ice Palace logic would make 560 of them fall asleep.
No question. We do immediately see the big key, so at least the boss is not hookshot locked.
Yeah, best thing to find is a small key, then you can just go to the right side immediately. But big key is not so bad. At least we can get the big chest on the route.
Okay, according to someone I trust, Zelda says the big key there means the right side is hookshot locked, and that's your key logic. So there's your key logic lesson for the day.
I
and
trust.
Then someone else says, well, sort of. So
I trust Zelda, but then you also have to take Samaria logic into play. That affects key logic. I find
and then Goomba, another person I would trust, says if both small keys on the left side, it still isn't. So it's nice to know we can all agree on the logic there.
I think the problem here is that you just trust too many people.
Apparently. And Zelda says we're both right because Ice Palace is dumb.
Yeah. Ice Palace is dumb. We can all agree on that. All trusted sources agree. Ice Palace is dumb.
And to be fair, the reason why none of us can figure out Ice Palace logic is because we break it every time with the bomb jump.
That's a good point. Well, while we were all in complete agreement about how dumb Ice Palace was, we did see the entirety of Death Mountain access, all 2 items, one of which was a sword. So Asa actually has a sword upgrade now.
And we are going to at least see a little bit of Skullwoods.
So this is really interesting. I mean, SaltyPhry being in Ice Palace is a sequence break, but we can't get to Hera, we can't get to East Death Mountain, we can't get to the back of Skullwoods. As weird as this is actually not like a bad play at all.
No, I like this play because hopefully the only progression blocking him here is just the flippers. And he is just going to go straight to the boss here. Not unusual to find a boss key on Cold Stare.
Yeah, and he does have the. I mean, we have the cane.
Yep.
We have the boots, so we can get across the gap in Misery Mire. So we can do a full clear of Mire as well immediately after this if we want to. This is a weird seed. And this could, but this could potentially be a hookshot-less seed as well, as with the exception of Moldorm 2.
Oh yeah. Well, anytime you have Swamp Palace as one of your pendants.
And Salty, I think, still has the fairy, but it has to be careful with this hammer Cold Stare fight. I definitely like the strategy of staying near the top of the screen. Protects you from the falling ice blocks, but it's pretty close. A nice double hammer. It gives you tempered sword damage, but that's still not that much, and it's a really crappy hitbox.
Now, how's this for interesting? If you think about the way the seed is played out so far, if Quake is our Turtle Rock entrance and we don't find a book, we could have all 3 pendant dungeons mirror locked.
That would be amazing.
That really would be amazing.
Speaking of amazing too, that was a really, really nice Cold Stare fight. I mean, not a lot of health, green mail, hammer. That was very impressive from SaltyPhry. And hopefully Asa is about to get those boots. Where did Asa find a tempered sword? It must have been Skullwoods.
Must have been Skullwoods.
I was mesmerized by that Cold Stare fight. I just completely missed the entire Skullwoods.
I saw him pick up some bombs in Skullwoods. So, bombs and a sword, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, there could have been a Triforce there. I would not have noticed. There we go. Boots for Asa, ready to go fast. And SaltyPhry doing the Mire, probably full clear. This is going to be the 5th crystal. This is insane.
So if we think about our go mode for a second, we'll leave the hookshot aside for a second. I do not know either of these runners' hovering prowess or if either of them can do the Moldorm bounce strat. SaltyPhry is going to need to find one or more of those swords. Based on where they were, I suspect he'll at least get the one on the mountain. We do need a fire rod because we need that for Skullwoods.
Definitely.
And by logic, we need the flippers, but we have already seen that we don't really need the flippers.
And we have to get the hookshot or the mirror, just to be able to get, just to be able to get to Ganon's Tower and Tower.
Yeah, let's not. We're 51 minutes in, and we don't have either one of those. It's very easy to forget.
Yeah, I don't care what your hovering skills are. You're
not hovering there.
You're not hovering over there.
No, that's not happening.
This is I mean, SaltyPhry, let's assume that we clear Mire and we don't find any progression items and we get our 5th crystal. I can't think of a time where I've seen 5 crystals with so few items on track.
Oh, I know. Okay, so gonna go ahead and do those boots checks that we've already seen have nothing. Oh, well, there's silvers.
Well, they weren't in pod.
That'll make his Vidi fight a lot easier.
Definitely. I mean, with only the fighter sword, he was probably going to have to be a little bit dependent on bomb strats just to wear him down.
Yeah, so that does tell us that the bow they found on Hype Cave is definitely the intended first bow. since the flute was behind it, and silvers were in mire.
Absolutely. And Asa is also going to the mire area. Has ether, has boots now to be able to access the that first gap. Previously opened the dungeon. So I'm thinking of the the crystal advantage that SaltyPhry has. Ice Palace and Eastern. Eastern isn't that big a deal. Asa's already completed it, but Ice is a considerable time save, and that's
Yeah, well,
a full dungeon.
we didn't see the full ice, so we don't know what's on the rest of that dungeon. So we didn't see any of the right side, since he left right after Cold Stare. I don't recall exactly how many items he got in there. So he might have to go back in there at some point.
Oh, I'm not sure if there's anything over there that they could need, because if it was a hookshot locked section,
Then you
the
can't be a
hookshot will
hookshot.
right can't be a hookshot, and the hookshot will give them what they need to finish the rest of the game. So
They still need a fire rod.
okay, so only fire rod being over there, I think
Yeah.
would be an issue. All right, well, if you find the hookshot, you go clear the 20 items on Death Mountain
Yes,
before you
of
go
course.
back to Ice Palace.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the other interesting point about the mirror versus the hookshot for getting over to the eastern part of Death Mountain is if you can hover, you want to find the mirror, and if you can't, you want it to be the hookshot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I started this particular commentary by mentioning a race that was a 45-minute difference, simply because one player had to hunt down the hookshot only for Ganon's Tower.
Mm-hmm.
It's super rare. I mean, just to be clear, that's not a common scenario. Very rarely does hovering actually give you a real world time savings, but that was one of the very rare seeds.
And I do believe the second item will be on Vidi here.
Yeah, this is a garbage mire.
Well, silvers aren't the worst thing, especially with only being on Fighter Sword. I'm sure SaltyPhry is happy to have silvers for this fight. But yeah, I mean, it's not exactly the progression he was looking for.
Yeah, well, just garbage in the sense that they had to check all of the locations.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And the Can of Samaria gets its only use.
Well, we hope it's only used for this seed anyway. Although, to be fair, I mean, it opens up the right side of Ganon's Tower as well. And there was a rather famous race early on where that's where the big key was, and the runners had to find that cane. So.
Well, I meant more like it's only used in this particular dungeon,
yeah, of course.
which is still sad.
It is.
You could have had a Samaria block, for example, let those anti-fairies out instead of a switch. There's so much potential.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's okay. I thought Mothula was only vulnerable to the fire rod because the fire rod was in the dungeon back when I played this the first time. So
that's true. That only has a single use as well. Samaria blocks killing the Vitreous Eyes would have been pretty cool.
Oh, there's an idea. Let's see what that item is. It is flippers. That is not what he wanted to find. But to be fair, it doesn't open up swamp because still no mirror.
Yeah, it actually doesn't open up anything for them at this point.
Not, yeah, I mean, it by logic opens up the ice palace that SaltyPhry is already completed.
And yeah, all the waters, it opens up everything they've already done.
Yeah, pretty much. It might incentivize aces to go over there.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be the end of the world. Asa has to get that crystal if he spends a little bit of time clearing the right side and finds, items that Salty didn't. Even if they're trash items, it's not a big loss of time. It's just SaltyPhry's first check on the island there, sees Quake, and then Salty also has to do Hobo because we skipped that earlier, but we know this is going to be garbage. But that is 5 crystals for Salty at less than an hour in.
Yeah, we're about to get to an hour in, and we still can't get to East Death Mountain.
That's insane.
I mean, I've seen seeds where you can't get to Dark Death Mountain because of lack of gloves. That's not really uncommon. But to not be able to get any of the eastern part of Death Mountain, you don't see that very often. On the other hand, if we find the Fire Rod before we get that access, we could do the Tower of Hera into GT Dream.
Oh gosh, I don't know when the last time I saw that.
So rarely gets to happen.
So Salty doesn't actually have a whole bunch of options. I mean, we have the Ice Palace, we have Purple Chest, we have Pyramid Fairy, which is what we're gonna. No, we don't have Pyramid Fairy. Rather, my mistake. He's just buying regular bombs.
Yeah, we need that mirror, that hook shot to get to Pyramid Fairy.
I guess he thought it was Pyramid Fairy too. So.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
But yeah, so I'm thinking
SaltyPhry hasn't checked Skull Woods, but we know there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of locations left.
Purple Chest and Catfish.
Purple Chest, Catfish. Salty has the, he'll be able to pick up another sword upgrade up here in Death Mountain. Asa, nice duck dodge. So this is going to give Salty the Dark Cross item, which I forget what it was, but it was
Ice
something
Rod.
else. Oh, the Ice Rod, yeah. Which doesn't matter because we can't get the Turtle Rock.
No, we can't.
You were talking about the Tower of Hera being like the last dungeon, but if all of Death Mountain wasn't locked as our last, as our go mode, that would be. I've never seen go mode all Death Mountain.
Nope, me neither.
So Mushroom has been checked. To answer chat, we saw Asa check it. I don't think we saw Salty check it. Maybe we did.
We'll see if Asa decides to do the bomb jumps over to the right side. And here we're getting the 1 hour and 1 minute old man save.
Well, we did see the old man save from Asa earlier.
Yeah, we did.
I don't blame Salty for putting this off at all because
no.
there's really no good reason to come up here.
Like we said, 2 items you can get, 1 item you can see.
I think that there's got to be like either Purple Chest or Catfish are the most intuitive locations. I think
They're the ones that I can think of right now. If they're missing something else, then I'm not thinking of it right now. Other than the hookshot lock part of Swamp here.
Yeah, I mean, but the only thing that can be over here that we really want is the Fire Rod.
That Fire Rod.
So I'm trying to figure out where can the hookshot be.
Purple Chest or Catfish. Gotta be either hookshot or mirror or something that'll lead to hookshot or mirror. I mean, it could be a book.
So
Could be powder.
Chad asking why Asa hasn't done my favorite play, going back to Eastern, and it's because he's got all 6 items out of that area.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to. Salty, it was entirely different. He had 6 items to check. And Asa is going to the right side. So this is the hookshot locked section, where you normally need hookshot to get across, and we're going to see a bomb jump, which is it's easy if you set it up correctly. It's really hard if you don't.
Yeah, it's pretty true of all the.
It's like
yeah.
Yeah, every execution dependent game is easy if you do it right and hard if you don't.
That looks good though.
Great commentary, Tiru.
But what makes that bomb jump a little bit harder, and why the the one you always see in Ice Palace a little bit harder, it's one of the those are both some of the few bomb jumps where you have to lay the bomb and then move yourself, and that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and this is our first spike cave check. That was one of the locations.
There we go.
I forgot about this.
And rightfully so, because it's just a container heart.
All right, come on, fire rod on Ice Palace, right side. You got 1 chest left. No.
All the keys.
All right, so Salty didn't miss out on anything on
No,
Ice.
he did not.
I think Salty's going to do purple chest now, because...
He might do a Skullwoods check, too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he hasn't been up here at all. That would make sense.
I'll get him a tempered sword, at least.
So the frustrating thing is, you know, when they eventually go to catfish or purple chest, and they find the item, they're going to be like, oh my god, I should have done this a half an hour ago. I'm so far behind. You know, the usual.
Yeah, the usual. But to be fair, the purple chest, when you don't have the mirror, you know, you do this, you turn in the smith, you can't just go back to the dark world and grab that purple chest. And catfish is just out of the way all the time.
Yeah, but there's been enough races that have been lost by catfish.
Oh, believe me, I know.
I'm really starting to think that it's not like as random as you think it is anymore. This bomb jump on Ace's side, this one is one of the easiest ones to set up. You drop the bomb and you just stick yourself in that corner. You cannot fail that.
Yep, SaltyPhry getting his bombs and his tempered sword out of Skullwoods. So we're gonna do purple chest, or we're gonna do catfish, because I believe that's what we have left. And Ace is gonna have a much easier time with Cold Stare here with that tempered sword.
Yeah. So it looks like purple chest is the winner, because nobody likes the catfish.
Nope. Can't say that I blame him. I think I would do purple chest first too.
This is all.
Run over
this
there,
is quicker.
flute.
Yeah.
Or you could do the new trick where you lose it, but then you can't do that because no mirror. So we're gonna grab it and flute.
And wow, that's the difference between fighter sword and temper sword cold stare right there.
Yeah, it really is. And we do have to save and quit because, again, no mirror.
Yeah, but we're definitely at the point now where we don't want the mirror, because it's going to open up all these
want the
one-off
hook shot. We do
locations that
not
we've
want the
skipped.
mirror.
Yeah, we just want the hook shot. There, 50-50 coming up on Salty's side.
Unless it's catfish. And it's catfish. Again, unless we're forgetting something.
I want to know what Ace is doing. Oh, he's doing Spike Cave. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, what else is up here? Just Spike Cave. Salty has to do the shovel. Just one-offs after one-offs. And we got
With
both
that,
of the items out of Skullwoods too.
yes, we
I
did.
guess- Oh no!
Oh, he's gonna go back and check the rest of
Yeah.
Ice Palace. Oof.
So this is interesting because all there were over there were small keys.
Yep.
So
I think it was
Could-
a 10 arrows and then 2 small keys. So
alright.
he's gonna have to do the bomb jump to get over there. It's definitely hookshot. That's as hookshot locked as it gets.
Well, it just needs the one item though. So once we find the 10 hours, we'll at least be able to save a little bit of time and
Yeah.
not go after those 2 other chests. Chat points out, and also our tracker Link Force, that there's an item in the iced tea room as well that's Salty skipped.
Ah.
So thank you, chat, and thank you, tracker. I love this because like both of these runners, they're sitting at their computers, they're just pulling their hair out, screaming, "What the heck did I miss?" This is just insane. And I like to see Tracy because we've had plenty of divergences, and even
Yes.
though both of our runners are basically going to converge at the catfish, it's been enough divergence, and it's probably going to be pretty close too. So it's fun.
Yeah. Enough divergence to keep it interesting, and then they're gonna converge at catfish very, very soon.
I think Asa is probably on his way there right now, having checked, I believe, everything else.
I believe he has.
And Salty is maybe a minute away from finishing up an Ice Palace, and then we'll also have lots of locations catfish. So yeah, maybe a minute difference at this point. Although
Okay.
Ace is behind though, because Ace still has to go back and clear Eastern.
Oh, that's a good point. So that
It's
actually makes it pretty even, because SaltyPhry is gonna have to finish up the Ice Palace checks, and that should give Ace enough time to do Eastern. So it's gonna be awfully close. But the question is, are we gonna get a mirror or are we gonna get a hook shot? Or are we gonna get a book?
But yeah, that's true. I mean, if we get hook shot, then I'd say we're probably within 30 seconds of each other. If we get other progression, it's just, we're back to where do they go? But Salty did save and quit having picked up that third item, so that's good intelligence on their part.
And it's oh no, not
You
okay,
stupid
so you go to
fish.
the mountain. Gotta go to the mountain first.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, you're not like graveyard ledge, K45, or 20
No,
items on the mountain.
No, I mean, it could come down to those locations, but couple one-off locations, go to Swamp Palace, or all the stuff in the mountain, and it looks like Ace is just gonna go ahead and do Eastern first.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just finish it off. You're gonna have to do it sometime, and this really doesn't cost you any extra time. It's really kind of weird that he went to the Dark World though.
Yeah, I'm not
Also
sure
just
what that
forgot.
was about. Maybe a little muscle memory, trying
Yeah.
to, combine with Pod, but he's done Pod, so. Plus, you can go do Tower of Hera.
Yeah, so I think Salty's actually slightly ahead because of picking up the mirror and then doesn't have to, do anything else.
Right.
Having already done Eastern, maybe ahead by like a minute or so. But if we go up to the mountain, we're gonna have to double dip the mountain, which is actually, that's not bad at all. We just need the fire rod.
Just makes me sad that we're not going to be able to get that. Most likely, we're not going to get that Tower of Hera into GT anymore.
No, we're definitely not going to be able to do that because Hera is probably going to be the very first place you go. If you find
Yeah,
the
I think.
fire rod in Hera,
I
then
mean,
you're done.
you could theoretically clear the east side of the mountain first and then go back to Hera, but I don't think that makes sense. Go do that crystal dungeon that you have to do anyway, then clear the rest of the East Death Mountain.
Yep. I mean, Istos Mountain is very item dense, but if you find the fire rod in Hera, then you can skip it, and it doesn't matter how item
Exactly.
dense it is. You're done.
Although the caveat being, can the runners hover or Moldor mounts? Can they skip that hookshot?
Yeah. Oh crap! You're right. I just
But the hookshot could
forgot
also.
about the hookshot.
Hookshot could be in. My understanding is the hookshot could be in those early GT chests as well. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the
Like,
hookshot was required to complete Ice Palace logically,
to
because there were two
complete
keys over there.
big key. Yeah.
So I think with 2 small keys, it was logically needed, but I'm not sure, and we don't have enough trusted sources that have a consensus opinion on this.
Well, the big key was available,
Yeah, but
and you did
need.
have Canis Samaria. So I'm trying to think what locked doors are between, because there's 2 keys you can get. Well, there's several keys you just get,
But there were 2 small keys on the right hand
but
side.
there's 2 small keys on the right side.
I
So
don't know.
yeah.
The answer is you figure out where the hook shot is, and then you work backwards.
There you go.
But yes, SaltyPhry is, like, as we can see, you know, that minute or so ahead at this point, assuming that they follow the same routes. Already in Tower of Hera, and Asa is almost about to be in Tower of Hera.
Oh, we do have some. I like the discussion in chat as to whether to do Hera first or do East Death Mountain first, and there are a lot of people saying do East Death Mountain first. So, but Asa decides to do Hera first.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, chat. Everyone who says do East Death Mountain is wrong. Because this is a crystal dungeon, so if you find the item here, then you know you're done. You have to do this anyway. But I'm also not in the tournament, so
of course,
whatever.
No hook shot, and we're forced into the basement because we cannot Hera pot without the hook shot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about East Death Mountain, you're talking about Spiral Cave, Paradox Cave, the ledge, Super Bunny Cave, Hookshot Cave. Like, it's not just like a really quick check.
We get a boomerang.
Hey, that's gonna save us.
We can stun things now. We can find out what our stun prize is.
And we can do swag strats and crystal rooms and GT. That's about it. So the argument that you're missing 2 items and not just one, I guess, you know, it makes a case for doing East Death Mountain, but it's not like you're skipping it. Like, they're gonna do it right after this.
I guess it really depends on how confident you are on going without the hook shot.
I mean, like, they're doing East Death Mountain, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course they're doing the East Death Mountain. And we're good. I'm really curious to see what this Turtle Rock Medallion is.
I'm kind of hoping for Quake.
I'm kind of hoping for Quake too.
It just, I don't know why, just because.
It's fitting.
Troll, I guess.
I want everything, and it is all the pendant dungeons.
Tracy.
All the pendant. Unless we find the book, that means all the pendant dungeons are behind that mirror.
All right, well, fire rod and hook shot, that's what we're looking for, and we got a whole bunch of locations coming up right now.
Yeah, good news for the runners and the bad news for those in chat that enjoy a ped seed is that is quite dead. Because hookshot be needed for swamp, fire rod would be needed for turtle rock, and we don't really care about anything else.
Yep. 2 down, like 15 to go. Okay, this is such a late Death Mountain. This is crazy. We can get this one location. The hook shot in Hookshot Cave is one of my favorite.
Oh, it's happened. I've had that before.
So that first chest is logically accessible with the boots. The other 3 do require the hook shot or hovering. So Salty only got the first, which is understandable.
Well, this is interesting. Now they're in Spiral Cave together with SaltyPhry having checked the Dark World stuff first. And not really finding what he needs, so we might be getting our items at about the same time, depending on where they are.
SaltyPhry is further ahead in Spiral Cave, though.
He is. Yeah, it's just a piece of heart. Okay, Paradox Cave. Let's go. Let's get a nice super stacked Paradox Cave.
Yep, 7 items. Good odds. Fire rod hookshot combo. Asa doing the nice setup here. I like this. Mirror, you can check Paradox and then immediately go up to Super Bunny. Very efficient route.
Also, save some menu. You can use the mirror to delete the blocks. And the bottom of Paradox Cave is not the answer. But let's see what's at the top.
This is like great sync. It's like almost in sync. Garbage, garbage, garbage.
Oh my god. Blue mail is nice. Oh. Nothing.
Wow, nothing.
Wow.
This is
Oh my god.
So we have Super Bunny left. We have 2 locations. That's it.
I thought SaltyPhry.
Oh, wait, that's right. We saw Super Bunny, right? So we have no locations left.
So, and well, Asa gets red mail. We don't know where blue mail was. She doesn't have it.
So now this is the part of the scene I really.
Oh yeah, chat pointing out Pyramid Fairy is now a thing.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't like seeds like this because we have SaltyPhry doing checkerboard cave or desert. Like Asa could do other. It's just whoever finds the one-off location first wins.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm disappointed.
It was great when the progression, not the progression, but the choice was more obvious. You knew they were going to go check East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain. But now we're at the point where it's like, okay, so do we go desert? Do we go swamp? Do we go... and I guess only left side swamp because we can't go to the back without a hook shot. Do we go to Graveyard Ledge and Cave 45? So all those little one-off mirror locations.
Yeah, and I mean even Pyramid Fairy, it's 2 off, but it's essentially the same thing. You have all of these, if you have 8 different one-off locations, that's not skill at that point. That's just luck.
Yeah, and let's not forget Turtle Rock in logic if they want to go pick up that quick medallion. And we do see some hovering. Well,
so a little bit of
hovering.
If he's able to pull it off and this is the fire rod, then it could be all he needs.
And I don't know if they've checked Bumper Ledge, but that cave would open that up if it's I don't think we've seen. No,
we have seen it. It's trash.
Okay. Yeah, Asa really wants this.
This is like your last attempt. If you don't get it, you have to give up. All right, one more chest for Fire Rod.
Unfortunately, no Fire Rod, but the good news for Asa is if he does find that hook shot, he doesn't have to worry about the Fire Rod being on Hookshot Cave.
Speaking of.
Oh, there is a Fire Rod.
It's still in a cave. That counts.
So the mirror ended up being required.
Yeah, and this actually could be really bad for Salty because Asa is going to
About to get
checkerboard
that.
right now, and he just hovered 3 locations in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah.
He's going to be comfortable hovering 1 at Aga 2.
Yeah,
Or
I'm gonna guess.
Moldom 2.
I'm gonna guess SaltyPhry is not comfortable. Well, he hasn't. Yeah, he's got his. Oh, that's where the red mail was. Okay, so
I'm going to consider this go mode for Asa, basically.
let's see what Salty does. This location being really close. Is he gonna keep looking for that hook shot? Probably gonna go ahead and do Skullwoods first, regardless. No, he's
Yeah,
not.
Asa's acting like he's in go mode.
Yeah, and Salty's acting like he's
Salty
not.
is probably doing Pyramid Fairy or King K45. So I can't believe it. 2 seeds that I've commentated with Asa both came down to no hook shot and hovering making a difference. What the heck? Maybe it's me.
Maybe.
Oh no, Salty, run! Get your bomb! No!
Yeah,
Oh!
not how the bomb dupe works.
Salty blew himself up. Yeah, Hookshot hates Tirut, confirmed. I agree with that. So, I mean, there's, as just pointing out that, there's, the hookshot could be in Gan's tower, it could be in, all these locations, but it doesn't really matter if Asa doesn't need it. Salty is, investing time in locations
Yes.
that Asa is never going to check. So it really doesn't matter where it is at this point.
And gets a B for turning in the bottle. Let's see. I'm gonna guess SaltyPhry is gonna. No, maybe not. You got Graveyard Ledge. You've got Cave 45. You've got all swamp,
Well,
and you
yeah.
can pick up that Quake for Turtle Rock.
So you can't get to Graveyard Ledge from this side, unfortunately. No. Oh, he's getting the Quake Medallion, so he's going to check Turtle Rock?
Well, he's going to pick it up regardless. Whether he's going to check it now, I don't know.
So do you want to start the game? Because I think it's fair to say Asa is going
go
to
ahead
GT.
Go ahead and start it up. I believe it needs to be a $sign.
Oh, that's right.
There we go. Now put your guesses in.
They pin these things for a reason.
And when I said the hookshot could be in swamp, I don't mean all of swamp, of course. It can only be in the first. Could be on the left side. Could be in the early chests. We are going to see Graveyard Ledge here. And it's not Graveyard Ledge. Okay, so gonna go to the right side first, which makes sense because you don't really need the hook shot for the right side at all. We'll have to use some bonk strats to do the left side. And some bomb jumping or hovering. Whatever his preference is. First two checks, nothing. Meanwhile, SaltyPhry is going to do the one thing he knows he can do and go ahead and finish up Skull Woods. This may be a finish up Skull Woods and then go check Turtle Rock for that hook shot. And then you can go straight to GT from there.
Yeah, that would make sense. You save a trip with the mountain.
Mm-hmm. 3 rupee, 4 red bottle, 5 rupees, 6 a container heart.
It's only our second bottle.
That's a really good point. It is going to go ahead and mirror out. In this situation, sometimes you'll see runners go all the way, do full right, because you can, again, you can do that whole part without even worrying about other than having other. You don't have to worry about the hook shot in that direction.
Yeah, you sounded like me just then.
Yeah, I hope that made some sort of sense.
So this is nice hover from Asa. That's the hook shot required location. I completely forgot that you had to do it there too.
Yeah, 7, 8.
7 was torch, so 7,
7 was
8, 9,
torch, 8, 9, 10.
10. This is 11.
11 is another bottle. Oh, hey. Get all the bottles in GT.
It's just that first one you have to hover across, and
Yep.
you can block the rest. So this is
Coming
number
up on
12.
Small key. One of these days, I'm just going to write a list of, depending on what route you go on, what number each chest is.
I just open a calculator and I do like 1 + 1, and I just keep hitting enter every chest.
There you go.
I think this is the Turtle Rock play from Salty. Following the intended strats.
Just have to, could do a bomb jump here instead of hovering. And 12 is a container, or is that 13? God.
Oh God. Let's go with 13.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it was or not. We'll just say it was 13. This is why you have to call them out. So 14 is a rupee. 15. 16 more rupees. 17 more rupees. All right. So 18 is Bob's chest coming up. It's like Sashirala's Closet 2.0, just more rupees. Oh man, Asa. Been so long since I've seen someone have to take that teleport warp. The teleport of shame. 18 more bombs. And if you're doing this whole dungeon out of as essentially a sequence break, you deserve tile room, I think. And you deserve to get stomped by Armros a few times too. Yeah, there we go. That's karma for you, Asa. You could have hookshot stunned that guy. Not really, but 19, 20. 20 is the key.
20 is the big key. Well,
So
Salty
now,
gets a gold sword at least. But I do like his thinking and checking Turtle Rock instead of going to one of the other dungeons. Since Swamp only has a limited number of places where it could be, Desert's only got 2 spots, only 2 items to begin with, and Turtle Rock gets you at least close to GT.
so chat asked an interesting question. Could the hook shot be in one of the 3 upstairs chests? Considering you could have gotten to Ice Armors from the right-hand side, I honestly don't know.
I believe it can be, so long as the big key is accessible without using the hookshot. Also, again, pending on whether or not Ice Palace was considered hookshot locked. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna sit down with the Ice Palace map after this, and I'm gonna figure that out. For that particular key layout.
One of our semi-trusted sources says no, but who knows? Vanilla Big Key and Turtle Rock. I think from this day on, every race that Asa does, I'm gonna be like the requested commentator because these 40-minute differences, this is just insane. Hookshot in Tower Room. Oh god, that would have been insane too.
Yeah, that could have happened.
I really wanted Asa to check those 2 chests.
I know, right?
Man, I'm not going to assume that Salty forfeits if he doesn't find it, but if he does decide to do that, we may never know where it was.
Okay, and Asa does have no trouble hovering across.
Yeah, but has to push all 3 of those blocks like a sucker. Wow, that was a lot of noise.
It really was.
that little mini Helmslor should have like died from a concussion or something. So I'll just say, before this ends, that I don't like races that end this way.
No. This was a great
it's
race up
just-
to the point where it came down to one player can hover and the other one couldn't.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely a legitimate win. That's a very
absolutely.
difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, hovering. It's just unfortunate.
This race where I would much rather either both players going for the hover or neither. But to be fair, that means Aces put the time in to learn that skill, and there's a reason for it. And we joke about Andy doing it all the time, and there are a lot of places where it's useful. But this is the most useful spot for it, is to be able to do that hover at Moldorm 2 in this particular type of seed.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I was saying like it's 100% legitimate. It's a very difficult thing to do, and being able to do that earns you, a win in cases like this.
Yes, it does.
Just as a viewer, it was like so close, and it was in sync, and like as a
Yep.
viewer, I really want to see where the hook shot is. That's all I'm saying.
And it was not Turtle Rock. And
It should be
Tempered
the
Sword and
last.
Silver Arrows making a very quick Ganon fight.
Ooh, that was close. It's almost the last cycle, but Ganon just gave us really lousy position there on the bottom. Couldn't get a double in.
There we go. And GG to Asa, finishing up with an official SRL time of 1:39:12.
Yeah, definitely get your GGs in there.
Well deserved, really.
I'm looking forward to talking to him and seeing if he remembers the other race that we did. We still know where this hook shot is, so we have some time to kill here.
Well, SaltyPhry is continuing on, so we may find out yet.
Yeah, SaltyPhry checked K45.
Yep.
I
think we're down to swamp and desert.
Yeah. We saw. Didn't we see some desert? We saw some desert.
Did we see some? Okay.
Yeah, we saw desert. As soon as we got the mirror, we saw desert. So hook shot in swamp. That's another trolley location for it to be.
Hook shot in pendant swamp.
And then hook swamp. I like that.
It's been a long race.
It's gonna be like the first, not the first chest because this is a key, but it's gonna be the first item chest.
Yeah. The only chest left in the game that's always a key. Having with the not counting the agate tower chest.
Well, while we're on the great hookshot hunt of 2020, let's get started and greet Asa and oh, Jesus!
Oh my God! First chest swamp.
It ruined my introduction.
Well, let's do it again. Go for it.
So, welcome Asa on your game 1 victory in this hookshot hellseed.
So first chest swamp, right?
First chest swamp.
Yeah, saw it.
SaltyPhry is heading up to Ganon's tower with that hookshot in hand, and is using it and every chance that he gets.
As well, he should.
So
he earned that hookshot.
Yeah, totally. So I have to ask you, Asa. I was talking to Trace and I were talking about this, and I'm pretty sure, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. 2 years ago in the spring 2018 tournament, I was commentating a seed, and this exact same thing happened. Do you remember that?
I think I do. Actually, it's one of the round robin races, or I don't remember the system.
Yeah, it was one of the Swiss races, and it was just the hook shot left, and you hovered GT, and your opponent did a hook shot hunt, and it was like a 20-30 minute difference. And I'm just thinking, like, Jesus Christ, how often can that happen?
Actually, it's the second time this happened to me in this tournament, except last time I lost.
Oh.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it always kind of sucks. I mean, especially from the viewer's perspective and such, that this thing, I mean, it's not common at all that these situations happen. So, I mean, it always kind of sucks, but at this stage, this is round of 32, and you need to use all the abilities you have at your disposal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hovering is a difficult skill to execute, and you put the time in and the practice, and it's rare that it pays off as much as it did. But this is definitely a win, well earned. I got to ask, when this seed was excellent. It had so much divergences, and then it came down to both of you finding the mirror basically at the exact same
Yeah.
time, and that opened up so many opportunities for divergence.
Yeah, we kept thinking we all wanted it to be hookshot, like be a hookshot, be the hookshot, because that would have opened up enough. But then it was the mirror, and that opened up so much because all your dungeons were mirror locked. Oh, sorry, all your pendant dungeons were mirror locked.
Yeah, I believe the mirror was, at least for me, the last location.
Oh, both of you.
For both of you guys, yeah.
For both of us, yeah. So you say it was pretty much tied at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like 30-second difference. I think you were ahead by like 30 seconds or so. It was not much. And then you guys both immediately went and did Tower of Hair together. Did East Death Mountain. It really just came down to, as soon as he actually got the fire rod a little bit earlier, but as soon as you got the fire rod, it was go mode, and he went to Turok and did more stuff.
Yeah, I see. I mean, it's understandable. It's kind of understandable. Searching in TR first, of course, it's right beside the tower, and I believe it couldn't have been in the tower because I'm not really sure about.
We're still debating.
I'm not really sure about.
We're still debating whether the hookshot lock in Ice Palace covered the cold stare fight.
I know. I just know I had to use a bomb jump to make progress, so I assumed it was probably hookshot locked. I'm not sure about that.
No, nobody is. It's an unknowable thing. Anyone who says they know is lying.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna sit down with an Ice Palace map, and I'm gonna figure out whether the key layout would have worked to get to Cold Stare with the Cane of Samaria.
It makes sense when like Christos explains it, but then I forget.
Yeah, I wasn't sure though. At that point, I believe I was only missing the fire rod, so I didn't really care about hookshot logic anymore.
Right.
So you guys have your next race tomorrow, I believe, and Salty is going to be the one to pick the next option. I don't want to force you to stick around unless you want to. If you want to just, say any last comments and log off, that's completely understandable.
Oh no, I got some time. Yeah, you can still. And yeah, also Salty is just climbing in the tower. So it shouldn't be long now.
Yeah, Salty's doing randomizer room. We were kind of hoping that Hookshot would be in Tower room, despite chat saying that they think it couldn't have been because of Ice Palace. We don't care. We don't care about logic.
No, a lot of people have said now that it is definitely Hookshot locked. I am going to double check it, but my suspicion is that it was. Yeah, because enough people have said it was.
Yeah, and seriously, they're correct, and I realize that, but it's less fun to admit it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, of course, in Ice Palace, the first chest didn't have a key, and the freezer chest didn't have a key either. One of those was the big key. I don't remember. No, the big chest had a map, which I opened because I miscounted items. And how many keys
Yeah, there were two small keys on the hookshot side, which definitely hookshot locks the right side. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah, I believe pretty much.
So what's neat about this seed is with the mirror and the hookshot being like your last or close to your last items, we had 5 crystals completed and still had no way to get to Hera or East Death Mountain at all. It looked like the pendant dungeons weren't going to even be touched. There were so many empty locations on your tracker. It was just like, what were you thinking about this race?
Yeah, in fact, the only relevant item independent location was the hookshot,
Yep.
because I didn't visit any of the three at all. I mean, I wasn't feeling really great about my play until I found the fire rod, because my Dark World access was last location, mirror was last location as well. So, I mean, I think I wasn't routing it poorly per se, but it just wasn't working out. What I thought is, I mean, you gotta think it may not be working out for your opponent as well. So
Well, that's a common theme that we always talk about. Is it doesn't really matter where you are, you're gonna feel behind at that point, and everyone
sure.
does. What was really cool though is Salty. So you got the hammer much earlier because Salty didn't check the library or the race game, and you had that, and then I think he got the gloves earlier because he got the bottle. It was just there were so many divergences in this race, and then like an hour 10 in, you guys are both like at the catfish at the same time.
yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch back.
Yeah, it was a wonderful seed.
I'd say it's probably one of the most bizarre seeds I've ever seen. I've never seen one item lock 3 dungeons. Although we still don't know where the book is, so maybe. Well, I'm pretty certain it couldn't be anywhere because we checked everywhere. So.
Yeah, and the game didn't really want you to spend that much time in Swamp though. Like it put the hook shot in the first chest. It's kind of like a consolation prize. Like just don't go any further. just leave now. It's not too late.
Yeah, book could have been in GT for all we know.
Yep.
So it's interesting is like you actually you could have done this without picking up the flippers.
Well, except that it was on a boss fight, but yeah.
Well, yeah, man. It was only needed.
But you didn't need 'em.
We only actually really needed it to get the hook shot.
Yeah.
So I'm counting that as a flippers optional. Sure, why not?
Yeah, the flippers kinda sidetracked me even more because I got them before the flute, or the mirror rather. So
But we were kind of joking around because when you guys found the flippers, both of you had checked every possible flipper location that was available at the time. So it didn't really open anything.
yeah, I know Effect flippered at the beginning, so only had Ice Palace available.
Salty is on Moldorm 2. Very.
I think he's showing us why he was looking for the hook shot.
Salty's being a good sport. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to Salty for finishing this one out. There's a lot of people that would have just forfeited as soon as you were done. So.
So I thought that the chest only stays there if you open it. That's right. No, yeah, I mean, Salty's an excellent player. I would have forfeit an hour ago. So. Showing us that swag hookshot clip there that Issa failed to do. I want to see again in a fight where we use a lot of hookshot iframes.
Oh, there you go.
Just make it like a 20-minute phase 1. Just keep hookshotting.
SaltyPhry is going to have an even easier Ganon having that gold sword he picked up in Turtle Rock, the only thing that was of any use in that dungeon.
I think he probably would have been okay trading Turtle
Oh,
Rock
for sure.
for a tempered sword.
Yeah, the hookshot for having, yeah, absolutely. I think he'd
Chat
be
has-
happy to have like a Master Sword Silverless, but have the hookshot earlier. Who bonked a few days ago? Do you mean the Moldorm bounce? Yeah, that was that was Zelda, wasn't it?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So the strat where you can actually use a bomb jump combined with getting hit by Moldorm. It's there's only one other person I've seen do it, and that's Aussie 101. That gets you over.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
alternative to hovering.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's pretty cool. Learned something new today.
Zelka saying who would do that actually in a race.
Yeah, crazy. So I think if Zelga was able to do that, we kind of have to trust his knowledge of the Ice Palace lucky layout.
Yeah, like I said, Aussie is a person I know who's done it several times.
Ooh, nice triple there.
And watch out, he's still in this tournament. And get your GGs in to chat for SaltyPhry, finishing up in just a second after he crosses the bridge with an official SRL time of 1:54.57.
Yeah,
Well-earned GGs there.
Yeah, definitely well earned. That is, I mean, for all those extra checks and clearing an extra dungeon, 15-minute difference is not bad at all. Very, very well done, SaltyPhry.
And he joins us in the chat.
Hello,
Well, GGs.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Honestly, the first thing I want to talk about is the start of this seed. Like, I can never remember getting so few items between Kakariko and South Shore off the bat. Like, after that, like, pretty much all I had was the Moon Pearl and Bombos. Like,
That's about
obviously,
right.
I missed the hammer over at the race game, but still, like, I could never gone like through those areas and come up with so few items.
Oh, it was very dry.
Yeah, our tracker had nothing to do for like an hour. It was really sad.
And then once I got the Dark World access, honestly, it felt going pretty good. Like, I went over to Pod, that went really well. I got the sword there, which was kind of gave me a good feel for making sure that I was going to get through that dark room. I probably would have been all right without the sword, but then as soon as I got that, I was like, all right, this is going to be a piece of cake now, which made me feel good. And then, yeah, it seemed like from there I was just kind of picking the right play for the most part, and then it got to the point where I was basically last locationing the mirror on Catfish, and the mirror was not the item I wanted to see at that point in
No, I
time.
know it wasn't.
Anything, well, it would have either been the mirror. I don't think the fire rod
it-
opened up anything at that point in time, so it would have had to been the mirror hook shot, and I was really, really hoping on the hook shot at that point in time because I had a feeling as to how this was going to play out at that point. But yeah, it is what it is. That's how it goes.
So you can actually answer a question for us that we were wondering about. The Palace of Darkness Terrapin room. Does Ether only kill them if you've already knocked them over with the hammer?
Yep, so does Bombos.
Okay.
Quake will turn them into little slugs as well if they are not in the air. So like if you do 2 quick hammer hits and switch to the Quake medallion, most likely they'll be in the air and it will do nothing to them. So you got to wait a second until they're actually sitting on the ground on their back if you're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
So did you use NMG patterns to get them all upside down and then use the Ether?
Pretty much, yeah. Usually I'm pretty good at getting all 6 of them flipped over in one hit. Once you do that, yeah, you just switch to Ether or Bombos. Ether's obviously faster if you have them both.
Yeah, it was,
not bad.
It was very well executed. We saw all 6 explode like as we were talking about how hard a rune this was going to be, and you just breezed right through it.
Yeah, with the medallions really make a big difference in there. If you all of a sudden have to start trying to chase and figure out where they're flipped over, like the nice part is you don't have to worry about where they're flipped over. Once they're flipped over, then you're good, right? Like it's not like you have to go and hunt for them with a hammer and like the other problem with that is most likely if you miss them, you're going to flip them back over then, right? So yeah, the medallions just make it really.
But yeah, so you both blast location that mirror. About your
The worst
routes
part
were-
was is I was seriously considering going up there when I got the mitts on my way to pot. Like, originally, like I was thinking that, and like if I don't probably wouldn't have made any, it wouldn't have probably made a difference in the long run because of how it played out. But
yeah,
it would have been pretty sweet at that point in time, that's for sure.
well, and the mirror was such an odd item in this particular seed because it literally is, unless the book was somewhere that I can't figure out, it locked all your pendant dungeons.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even really think about that. That's kind of crazy.
Because Quake was on the Lake Hylia Islands, you need the mirror to pick up that to go to TR. Obviously, Swamp is always mirror locked, and without a book, how else do you get into deserts? So I've never seen that before. That was crazy.
Yeah, it really was. And like just in general, it felt like there was a lot to do early on. Like in terms of the crystal dungeons, it always felt like there was always crystal dungeons to be cleared.
Yep.
Like the whole reason that I fake flippered over into ice is because I wanted some upgrades. Because I was looking like you were going to have to do fighter sword vitreous, and then I find the silver arrows in there. That was kind of one of those things where, that was a waste of money, I guess. Now I don't need those upgrades. And again, the flippers were another item I didn't really want to see because I'd just been fake flippering in ice.
Yeah.
Like, and the whole reason I didn't bother clearing everything in there is because I wasn't sure I was going to find the flippers at any point in time. So full clearing that when I didn't know if I was ever going to find the flippers felt kind of dumb at that point in time.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely understandable. And we actually joked about it too, because when you found the flippers, every single thing that was flippers locked, you had already been checked. At the
Yeah,
time.
pretty much, right? Like, I guess, well, obviously there was a couple more spots I could have done in ice. Like, my idea was just to kind of check the places along the way in ice the first time, which is what I did. And then the second time I went back there, checked the ice tea room, and when that wasn't a small key, I was fairly certain that you had to have the hook shot at that point in time. I'm never 100% sure about it.
We're not going to get into that again, but we've been.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard you guys talking about that when I was watching it back at the end there. But I was fairly certain it was like, but you can never be 100% certain really with Ice Palace logic for the most part. So I don't know. Obviously, like I was certain enough that I didn't even bother going into GT looking for the hook shot. I checked pretty much everywhere else for that.
Well, that was just game 1. You get to make a change for game 2. Are we going fast scanning to avoid the hook shot?
Yeah,
no,
we're probably going to be. Well, for other reasons too. Like I find fast scanning also kind of leans more towards potential low percent because a lot of swords and hearts can be hiding in GT that you'll never see. And I kind of feel like that's kind of my strength relative to most people. Like I don't know exactly how good other people are necessarily, but I feel like that's kind of my strength generally is just doing stuff with lower percent stuff. So yeah, so most likely we'll see fast scanning tomorrow.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Oh, I love fast cannon. I look forward to watching that race, guys.
Yeah, I know if I lose, I am removing that setting. We're going back to open for game 3.
At the same time, like when I consider how many races I've done, to me it's an insanely small percentage that actually come down to something like this happening.
It's not real common.
Like it really is. Like, well, yeah, I've seen it happen a few times. Like it's never happened to me before in a tourney race. I don't think. Like, and I've done a lot of tourney races now at this point in time. Like I've done enough daily races where every once in a while it'll happen or something like that. But there, it's kind of whatever, right? Because 3/4 of the people in the race are never going to be able to hover anyway, so it doesn't really show up as a issue most of the time then.
So the next race tomorrow, just checking here your schedule. Can't find it. Oh yeah, 2:20 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So 17 hours or so. And doesn't have a channel yet, but it's probably going to be on somewhere, and I'll definitely be one of the spectators.
Actually, it looks like it's going to be on the main Speed Gaming channel. Also coming up tonight at 7:50, we have Goomba versus McLagging, also on the main Speed Gaming channel. So a lot more randomizer coming up today.
Thank you. I had not refreshed. So thank you, Tracy.
I just pulled it up, for the first time. It wasn't. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it hadn't been decided before the race. So.
Well, I don't have anything else. So I will just mention the links in the in Twitch chat to follow Asa and SaltyPhry, twitch.tv, and the spellings that are on the screen. A thank you to our tracker, Linkforce, for doing an excellent job keeping us honest. And for me, it's been a pleasure to join you again, Tracy. So much fun. And last words can go to you.
Actually, I want to let the runners say whatever they want to say before I close it out then.
I'll just say GG asazas, and thanks for you guys for commentary. Thanks for the tracking. Thanks for the restream, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully it goes. I'll bring my lucky 7-leaf clover with me.
All right.
Yeah, GG, SaltyPhry. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be way closer for sure because these seeds don't come up nearly as often. And thank you all for the restream. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
All right, thanks, guys. So that'll be it for us. But yeah, don't go ahead and do tune into Speed Gaming, like I said, at the main Speed Gaming channel at 7:50 p.m. Again, that'll be Goomba versus McLagging. These two will play game 2 at 2:20 p.m. tomorrow. And so far on the Speed Game channel, also tomorrow at 6:50, we have Pete Train versus Willard J. Bradley. A couple other races scheduled tomorrow, but not given a channel yet, so we'll wait and see. Definitely keep an eye on the Speed Gaming schedule to see what other races will be restreamed. But yeah, thanks to our runners. Thanks again to Linkforce for doing the tracking. Tiru, again, it was an absolute pleasure. Thanks to Speed Gaming for having us. Make sure you follow the runners, follow my co-commentator and my tracker. And Speed Gaming 2 through 6, ALTTP Randomizer, ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 5, all your Link to the Past randomizer needs. And we'll see you in a couple hours for the next race.